way better this year. Woohoo! Hi Larry, hi Maisie. Farm's welcoming committee. Hi everyone, it is Brittany from Green Bee Flowers in Strathroy, Ontario. We are growing together in Zone 6A. If you have been following along, you know that I haven't posted in August. A lot of that has been just the farm has been incredibly busy. We have been trying to get our dahlias going. I was looking back at footage from last year and we actually did our dahlia tour 2 weeks earlier in the season last year. And unfortunately this video is not going to be a dahlia tour through the garden. However, I will be showing you some of the varieties that have been starting to bloom, which I'm really excited about. It has been such a difficult season for dahlias across Southwestern Ontario, and I think much of the United States as well. I've been hearing this from so many farmers that are suffering from drought conditions, that are suffering from unseasonably either cool or hot weather. And dahlias really like consistency, so it has been difficult for so many growers this year, and we are not exempt from that. Now, as many of you probably know, we have had drought conditions here. We had an issue in the middle of the summer where the main farm that we grow our dahlias at had irrigation issues. They actually had a line that rusted through deep down in their well. So that is something that the homeowners need to fix, which means we had to come up with a plan in order to get our dahlias and most of our farm here at the Green Door Gardens plot watered. And we had a solution. So we're very lucky to have a community of people that are close to us who are supporting us in so many different ways. One of those people is a neighbor of ours who works at a local food processing plant. They do a lot of frozen vegetables as well as other things, and so he has access to these huge bins here that you can see behind me. So we actually have 3 bins here at the Green Door Gardens plot. The goal long term is to have 4, long term meaning like within the next couple weeks, and we've retrofitted them here behind so that they all go in together. They operate with a battery, which is just here around the corner. So this battery down here. And I will link the battery for that below. It is available on Amazon, but you can get it from most of like your like farm and like auto retailer locations, I think. But that has been working really, really well. So we laid our drip irrigation through our dahlia fields, and now finally, after weeks of it feeling like we were never getting anywhere, they're putting out blooms. It's going to be September in a couple of days. So the delay on this has been very frustrating. And however, we are going into a season of a whole bunch of weddings, and I am very happy to see that my dahlias are finally blooming for this, because I need to use my dahlias for my brides. Now, I also wanted to talk a little bit about how we stake our dahlias. Dahlias absolutely need support. I don't know very many farmers who grow dahlias without adding some sort of support, whether it be things like tomato cages or just corralling through their dahlia fields. The method that we use is sort of a modified method from Christine Albright's dahlia staking design, which is having 4 posts every couple feet and running lines. So you can see kind of here behind me, right, where we run the lines so that they're crisscrossed in the center, like this, and then they go up and around, and so it creates a rectangle with a crisscross in the center. So I'm gonna turn the camera around. I'm gonna show you this in a little bit more detail so that you can see this up close. So you can see right up this dahlia line, we have, this row is about 30 feet long. We have 6 to 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 10 stakes in this row here of the wooden ones. But basically we come along, we make a square here, and then a triangular cross section in the middle, and that provides support for the dahlias. You'll notice with our dahlias, what we tend to do is actually cover new buds with organza or taffeta bags. I get these from Amazon. I think I've got the affiliate link down in the description. But essentially these are great because they are drawstring. So what we can do is just set it over the bloom like this, tighten it. So this protects from things like Japanese beetles and earwigs or pincher bugs, which are disgusting, as well as thrips and other small bugs which like to get in and kind of nibble at your dahlias. It's a really, really great pesticide-free way to promote healthy blooms. Every once in a while, you know, I cut deep into the plant to get the stem length that I want for bouquets, which means I'm going to sacrifice a bloom here and there. That's okay, because the deeper you cut into the plant, it tells the plant to put up longer stems. So these really beautiful pink kind of fuchsia dahlias here. Look at how beautiful those are. Those are called Colorado Classic. These were actually one of the first dahlias that I bought from a certified dahlia grower. And this is, in 3 years, this is the very, very best that they've looked. I'm really, really pleased with these. They're a nice informal decorative dahlia. Now, informals typically mean they've got a little bit more of a water lily style leaf, so you can see that the actual petals don't go all the way back around, which is what makes them an informal decorative as opposed to a formal decorative. But they have those really gorgeous kind of like wispy cafe au lait style petals at the front. And normally informal decoratives are kind of a minimum 4 inch. I would say this one is close to 4 to 5 inches, and these flowers will actually get a little bigger as the summer goes on. Whereas this one, which is called, this red one here, which is called Too Sexy, she is stunning this year. This is what we would refer to as more of a formal decorative. You can see the petals go actually all the way back around, right? So it almost touches the stem at the very back, and that's part of what makes it a formal decorative. They're kind of a mix between your informal decorative and your full ball dahlias, right? Ball dahlias as well have that perfect form that goes all the way back around. So this one here, which is Too Sexy, and this one is Colorado Classic. These 2 rows behind me have some of my very favorite dahlias in them. So we have Penhill Dark Watermelon. This is a really gorgeous dinner plate dahlia, right? Dinner plates we know because they're the size of a head. And then some of my favorite ball dahlias. So we have Camano Love, which is a gorgeous light pink mini ball dahlia. We have Linda's Baby, which is by far one of the most popular dahlias that we grow because her coloring just doesn't compare. Like, it's just so beautiful. And then Pink Suffusion. This is Pink Suffusion's a new one for us this year. I haven't grown it before. It's about a 4-inch ball dahlia. And I like it because it has just the smallest hint of yellow kind of under the petals there, which makes these some of my very favorites in the patch. So we've got Penn Hill Dark Watermelon, Linda's Baby, Pink Suffusion, and Camano Love. So next up we have Triple ED. This Dahlia's got a coral undertone to it with pinkish petals. And then this was in the patch of Normandy Lysans. It is obviously not Normandy Lysans, seeing as it's white and not an orange base. However, this one is either Sandia Showboat or Vivian Russell. So I can't remember which, but either Sandia Snowboat or Vivian Russell is the one with the purple underlay here on the petals. This one doesn't have that, so whichever one does have that, this is the other one. But this is a really, really good water lily dahlia, very, very true to form. I got some of these from my wholesaler actually for a wedding we did yesterday, and mine look better, but it wasn't blooming in time, so. Okay, so two other dahlias of note, fan favorites every year. The first one is Clearview Debbie. So Clearview Debbie is not Ferncliff Illusion, right? So this is Ferncliff Illusion. Ferncliff Illusion has very consistent petals and much more purple in the bloom. Clearview Debbie, which is this dahlia here, which is being blocked by a little bit of a leaf. Let's get that out of here. Right, so it has very like delicate little tips of purple, whereas Ferncliff Illusion has much more purple to it. And we got these mixed up in the field a lot last year, but now they're labeled, so that's really good. And of course, the queen of the dahlias, Cafe au Lait. So this, she's like very lovely, right? Those like pink tones against that like beautiful coffee color. What's exciting about her is that we have like 75 of these plants planted this year, and this is my first bloom. And she's a little smaller than she should be. Like you can kind of see her up against my face. She should be about this big around. She'll get there. But we've had, like I said, drought conditions, which has made all of our dahlias just having a hard time. But she's still gorgeous, right? With that beautiful detail coloring on the back of her petals. One of the most beautiful dahlias. She's the queen for a reason. These are the high blood fires. Now, a lot of you who are from Canada and were able to shop our dahlia tuber sale did manage to scoop some of these up. Now, I do get a lot of questions about these. They are not Arabian Nights, right? Arabian Nights are actually quite a bit bigger around. And no, they're not Karma Chocolate either. Karmas have much more triangular petals. They have the really beautiful stem length of the Arabian Nights, but they're a tiny little dahlia. They're really cute. They're extremely good producers. They're one of the first ones to bloom in the garden. And because they're such a deep, deep red, the bugs don't actually like them much at all. So I don't have a lot of damage on these, which makes them really great for shipping off to the wholesaler. So they have a great vase life. They darken as they age, which almost makes them appear black. And yeah, so no, they are not Arabian Nights. Yes, they do look like them, but Arabian Nights, like I said, are much, much bigger than this. They, and even like, you know, you see the Joey Morella ball dahlias as well, not these. I ordered these a couple years ago from my dahlia person, and I've never seen these available again. Which surprised me because they're extremely productive. So they produce really, really good tubers. They overwinter very well. They're pretty hardy, at least for where we're from, and they seem to do okay with drought, which is probably why they were the first blooming. Okay, so it's getting warm, so I wanted to come sit in the shade while we talk about a few things. So one, it's really difficult as a dahlia grower to get every single variety in the field labeled correctly. Without a doubt, every year something gets mislabeled and it ends up somewhere where it doesn't belong, or variety that I thought I'd culled shows back up in my fields. So a great example of this, I think this is Tomo. Could be Verity, but I'm pretty sure it's Tomo. I thought that I had gotten rid of these. I apparently did not. And one of the reasons I wasn't necessarily keen on growing it, it doesn't have very tall stems, right? So when I'm looking at cut flower dahlias, I'm always looking for dahlias that produce long stems, things that I know that are going to give me stems, you know, that are good length for hand-tied bouquet making, right? It's one of the most important things is your flowers that you're growing in your field have to accommodate the type of product. So final product for us, those are our hand-tied bouquets, those are wedding work, things like that, and also stems that we send to the wholesaler. If your flowers in your beds are not providing you with the stem length that you need, it's not the end of the world. Some dahlias are simply not bred to be tall growing dahlias, right? They are bred to be low dahlias that look good in garden beds or pots. And Tomo for us for the last 2 years has been one of those. Like, I'm not disappointed it's back. The blooms on these actually look way better this year than they did last year, which is a bit of a surprise, but the stem length still isn't there on these. So I'm going to give them this summer if they don't start to get taller. And like, these aren't stunted because of like lack of water or drought conditions in that part of the field, because all the other dahlias are like up to my waist in that part of the field. They're just really little ADB growing plants. So that's the first one. The second one is that with dahlias, you might not get exactly the same color out of the dahlias from year to year. So this dahlia here is Normandy Bright Day. Normandy Bright Day is coming off very apricot this year. Last year it was much more cream colored, and you could see like the smoky purple in the center a lot more. I still love this dahlia. It shimmers, right, when you cut it, but it's looking more apricot-y and more tangerine this year. Oftentimes when dahlias start to change some of their genetics, it's literally because either the tubers are getting old and they need to be replaced, which is one reason why dahlia growers split their clumps every year. It's to provide fresh stock in their tubers. But the other reason is because the nutrients in the soil might change from year to year, right? So if you're not amending your soil, if you're not checking to see what those dahlias need, you might actually get different colors. This I'm happy with. This is actually truer to the color that it should be. So this is actually very healthy Normandy Bright Day dahlia. We also keep a patch of dahlias that we've crossbred, things that we've seeded, and so we have a couple varieties that are in like our second year patch that are kind of cool, but I'm not sure yet whether or not we're going to keep them. The first is this dahlia. So yes, right, it's quite blown open. It's not like a true ball form. It's not a true informal decorative. It's not a true decorative, but her coloring is very pretty. It's a very pale yellow. She's got the slightest bit of pink on the tips and around the edges. So this was a seed dahlia. I feel like she was probably crossed with Ferncliff Bliss and something else. Ferncliff Bliss hasn't bloomed yet, but she's a contender. The only thing right now is that she's not facing upwards. That might actually just be wind damage and the fact that she wasn't staked early enough. So I'm gonna wait for the next bloom to come off for this one, and then I'll kind of compare and contrast, see if we want to keep her going into 2023. If you guys like her, let me know down in the comments, because it's always good to hear what you're looking for as far as dahlias go. She's a very tall plant, looks really good. It's just that downward facing bloom and that blown open center. I'm not sure yet if I want to keep that. The second one is a really cool one. So this is a year 2 dahlia. So I know that it is genetically stable. I kind of want to call it rubber ducky because it is the yellow of a rubber duck. Now this one I know is a little bit wonky because of how it was supported, which is to say it wasn't. It got kind of like stuck in the plant, which is why the stem looks the way it does. Last year this one was very consistently straight, pointed towards the sky, but I love the way it looks like it has a bit of a beak right in the center here of the bloom. And it's just this beautiful, like true rubber ducky yellow. It's not pale at all, and I think it's looking a little pale because of the way the camera's focusing here. Very, very true yellow. I wouldn't call this an informal decorative. It's not quite a ball dahlia, but it wants to be a ball dahlia. Anyways, it's cute. Not that we need more yellow dahlias in the world, but let me know if you like this one. My goal this year is actually to pull a lot more seeds from dahlias in our field. I've got some plans actually to crossbreed a few of the varieties that we have. So for instance, one of the rows of cafe au laits, I'm actually going to be hand pollinating them with other flowers that we have in the field and other specific varieties. So for instance, I really want to cross a Joey Winnie with a cafe au lait to see what that produces, so that when we go into 2023, I'm actually going to have one full bed of just seed dahlias, and I will take you along with the process of how we're actually going to develop dahlias. There's not a lot of producers in Canada for seed dahlias specifically. It's starting, but the Canadian climate across the board is so different depending on which part of the coast that you're from. And even, you know, getting into dahlias from growers in the States, if we're even able to get those because of import laws, they're acclimated to such different climates than what we're growing here in Southwestern Ontario. And there are a lot of growers here, so to be able to start looking at providing dahlias that are actually going to service the area that we're in is something I'm really looking forward to doing as we continue to grow our business. So that is the dahlia field. Thank you guys for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, I hope that you will like and subscribe to the channel, like the video. Sorry about the background noise. The homeowner was cutting grass. It's just something that has to be done. If you have any questions about the varieties that we grow, any questions about how we're staking, any questions about the equipment that we're using, of course, please drop a comment below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great day. Bye. So this variety here is, I think it's Pro Cut Gold. Could also be Sunrich Gold. The tag came off of this actually a while ago. It's really, really lovely. It's got an excellent vase life. So a reminder when you're picking sunflowers, best time to pick them is when they're starting to peel open like this. It's going to give the customer the longest vase life. This is actually more open than I personally would cut them, but when they're open like this, it's when people see them and they're like, oh yes, must have that on my table. We have some other cool varieties that are starting to bloom. So here we've got our Pro Cut plums. Oh, so pretty. I love the variegation on this one. Again, it's from the Pro Cut series, so it is pollenless. We have White Knight, right, which just has those light petals and that dark center. And then a new one for us this year. This one is called, let me just pull it out here. It's quite yellow. This one is called Horizon. We got this seed from Johnny Seeds. We've never actually grown this one before, but it's a pretty true looking like sunflower. It's what people expect to see when they're buying a sunflower. And also, it is a branching sunflower, which I wasn't expecting because I don't often read the descriptions when I'm buying seed. I shop by pictures. So I'm excited about this because branching sunflowers for us typically mean more than one succession, especially when you cut off that first stem. You know, most sunflowers that you grow for cuts are just one and dones. So when you get branching flowers, sunflowers specifically, that are designed to be low pollen, you snap those up because that gives you extra flowers. And this means that we are going to have a sunflower harvest in October for Thanksgiving. I'm quite excited for that, as long as the frost holds off.